There's Matty.
And I'm John.
John, how are you doing this evening?
Hey, I'm not bad actually. It's been an entertaining weekend.
What have you been up to? Enjoying the sunshine?
I don't know, not so much. It's been awfully warm, hasn't it? So I think I've actually just been trying to sit down and keep myself as cool as possible. More so yesterday than today. Today was obviously a wee bit cooler.
Aye, it's you're a fellow dog owner, and you have that sort of duty of care to your dog as well. Like
Hmm.
they kind of cope with intense heat like we've had over the last couple of days. So I've been the same, trying to keep him in the shade and did the grass earlier on. Grass has been horrendous. Like just grows so quickly, and I hate gardening. I think I mentioned this maybe the other week. I went to cut my front grass, and the lawnmower kept cutting out. It was too long for it, and so basically what's happening,
The wrong type of grass.
the lawnmower would overheat, and then it would cut out, and you'd have to leave it 20 minutes before you could start it up again. And then you start up, and 10 seconds later it would cut out. Right, so it became like I kind of got half the garden done. I was like, well, I'll get the strimmer and I will trim the grass down a bit and then finish it off with the lawnmower. Just can't find the charger for the strimmer. Right, it's a battery one. So that was the other weekend. The front garden stayed half cut until this weekend. Ordered the same strimmer. I was like, I'll order it again, and then that way I'll have a spare battery and a recharger and two strimmers, right? So we get the front and back at the same time. Different size fucking battery in the one that came. Different size charger. So I don't know if I've just ordered the wrong one or if they've changed it. But anyway, we got the grass done today. But that's not the most exciting thing that's happened today. Not by a long shot. Uh, we woke up this morning, 10 o'clock. Hibs had a wee announcement, a wee teaser. It was about 10 o'clock, wasn't it?
Aye, that sounds about right.
You might know I woke up at 10 o'clock. That's when I woke up this morning. Um,
No, I was up much earlier than that.
and it was a record signing for breakfast, pretty much. Like a wee teaser for Hibs and Theobald Klidje. I think I got
I
the
think it's a
pronunciation right.
Thibault. Oh, hang on, I've got his name in front of me. Thibault Klidje, I think it's
Klidje, there
pronounced.
you go.
Thibault
Um,
Klidje.
Evening News reporting it was about £1.2 million for him as well, which and I believe we're the
No.
first non-old firm team to spend over a million on a player in like 30 years or something like that. Which seems mental, doesn't it?
Well, aye and no. Aye, you would think that someone had spent money before, but no, because there's not much money in Scottish football, is there?
Well, that's true. But then Aberdeen and Hearts have all had money in that time. You know, they've been throwing at it. I mean, Aberdeen have spent a fucking fortune. Hearts have had millions ploughed into them over the last however many years since they went bust, pretty much. So you would have thought they might have spent a bit of.
Aye, maybe I'm being a wee bit harsh then. Um, aye, it's good. It's nice. It's nice the Hibs are spending money.
And were you drawn into having a look at his highlight reel?
I've actually, I was going to say I've done a surprising amount of research. When I first saw the video this morning, I paid it very little attention. I thought it was like a little announcement that Hibs were off to Denmark. Like I just thought it was like a wee teaser for their
Yep,
European preparation because
yep.
the flag appears briefly on screen, and I looked at it, put it to one side, up early, kids running about, um, red and white flags, and I was like, oh, they're just talking about going to Denmark because I had like a wee, I think the teaser on Twitter included a wee airplane. I was like, oh, well, they're just away getting prepped for the European game. I never thought too much about it. I have had a wee look at his highlight reel, and I was reminded, I think it was one of our listeners on Patreon had said that it should be the norm that you get to see the blooper reel of every player rather
Yes.
than their highlight reel, because of course you're going to see the highlight reel for every sign they make. You want to get excited. You want to think, oh, that's what he's going to be doing for us. Um, what I saw was the same as everyone else. It looks like he's capable of scoring goals. There was different types of goals. There was goals from the feet, goals with his head. Um, However, I think his stats suggest that he's not a prolific goal scorer. So my interpretation of the wee fee that we've paid for him is that the fee is for other attributes that he's going to bring to the team, that he's going to allow other players to perhaps score the goals.
I think he was third, like joint third top scorer in his league last season. So I don't think he's necessarily not prolific. Maybe not like a 30-goal season striker, but I'm sure I saw somebody quote that on Hibs net, like third equal,
Third equal.
which isn't a bad going.
I mean, didn't get me wrong, like I paid the stats, the goals to game ratio, but as much attention as I did that video that Hibs tweeted. I kind of looked at it and went, all right, so he's played about 100 games in his career today, and he's scored about 20 goals today. 1 in 5 sounds all right.
5, aye. I thought he looked quite tidy. He looked like he could play across the front. Bit of pace about him as well. I think I always like a pacey forward. Well, we've seen it with Martin Boyle over the years. Like defenders are absolutely terrified of fast forwards. Not so bad with the winds, like that's all right. But a fast forward, they struggle with. Boyle's made a
Go on,
career
go
out of being
on,
fast, and then
go on,
well,
no make clever jokes like that because I've just woken up for being asleep on the floor.
well,
I'm not quite there yet.
well, we reveal that as the real reason why we were late kicking off the night, and not
Aye,
technical issues, as I put on
full
Twitter.
full disclosure. I put the bear to bed and I fell asleep on the floor beside them.
It is easy done. It's fucking roasted. Right, we'll get stuck into the side in a wee minute. Let me just pick up on the comments on YouTube because they're coming in thick and fast. Kenny said, "Evening, guys. That was a bit of a different start to a Sunday." Chris said, "Evening, lads." Ronnie said, "Good to see you guys. Hope you've had a good weekend, you too, Ronnie." Chris said, "Record signing for breakfast and chips for tea." Well, we're getting a chippy gate. I don't think so. I don't think this is a platform for it, John. I think there's been enough said about chippy dinners this week, so we can leave
Would
it
you?
there.
It's not a chippy dinner in Fife, is it? It's surely chippy tea. I could ask questions that hopefully spur further debates all afternoon, all evening.
Yeah, not here. You can't. Um, Me said, "Evening bangers. If we do get Nectar, does anyone worry about his mentality as he seems so desperate to stay at Sunderland, and rightly so?" Ronnie said, "Dying to hear some news about what's happening in Bournemouth." So you mentioned, John, that you saw the wee notification with the icon, and it was a wee aeroplane icon that popped up on my screen, and I presumed it was just a nod to us going down to Bournemouth. You said about going on the European
Ah,
trip. The Hibs team are away down in Bournemouth this week, so that's what I thought it was going to be. I did not expect it to be a signing at all. Um, Chris asked, "Is he the first Togolese to play for us?" I can't think of any. I can't think of any either, and I think the answer to that is a resounding yes, Chris. John, your knowledge in players is better than mine. Can you correct me?
I'm trying. I'm trying to remember. Oh no, Conte was for Mali, wasn't he? I was trying to think where he was from, but then obviously he was called the Mali Magician. I
It
can't
was.
think of anyone else that might be for Togo. But that's good because that means, when you go through there's a wee game that you can play where you go through like all the different nationalities that have played for your club. I can now tick Togo off from
Yeah,
the
but
list.
once he signs, once it's all confirmed and he's got the strip on and
Oh, with
playing
his
games.
scarf above the head official.
Um,
You'd like to
Pete,
think that the deal doesn't fall through now after announcing a club record
I
fee was
know. We
paid
said
for.
it was like international clearance and work permit, but you would assume that'll all go through. I think it's fucking easy to get a work permit in Scotland for players coming in. So, Cam Grady said, "I'm well and truly off the Triantis train. His head's not at Hibs, so thank you for the last season and all the best." Stuart says quality over quantity. Ian said all the money in their cow, referring to Hearts. That was a weird time. I don't know if they still have their cash cow, but shameless,
Was
shameless.
that, did they refer to it as a cash cow? Because obviously that's got negative connotations,
I
doesn't it?
don't
But
think they did.
it was a big cow that they wanted folk to put their cash into.
Stevie said, "Evening, folks. Hope you're all well. Absolute gem of a signing. He's a mix of Suarez and Romario. What a player that would be, John. Eh?
So what are we getting? Someone that potentially lies about their goal record and someone that bites footballers.
I'll take that. I mean, it's going to be
Uh,
entertaining, isn't it?
that's the
Ian's.
thing. Like, it's not about ability these days. It's just about how you put yourself across in the press. And no
Aye.
publicity is bad publicity. So
Ian said, "I hope Klidje doesn't end up in the Klidje." And Stevie's laughing at the chippy dinners and says, "John, you were 100% spot on. A kebab is not a chippy dinner."
Thank
And
you.
Stevie said, first £1 million plus signing outside Celtic and Rangers since 1995 for any Scottish club. Uh, John, I was having a look at the forums before we started tonight just to see what the chat was. I mean, the signing has gone down, as you would expect, pretty well, completely out of the blue. Again, another one in the teeth for the in the know crowd. It caught everybody by surprise, as did Josh Mulligan, as did Jamie McGrath.
See when you say it was what was that, a shot in the teeth
A
for the in the
kick in
know
the teeth,
crowd,
I
like
think I said. I
kick in the teeth, sorry.
I was being tongue in cheek with it, to be fair, right? But
No, no, I know, but I was just thinking back, like the in the know crowd. Did the in the know crowd ever get anything right, or
yeah,
did they just say enough that something
that's
happened
it.
to be right?
Have we made this joke before about the comparison with cold reading? Do you know when you go? I don't know if you believe in, like psychics and that, the folk that say they can talk to the dead.
I'm heavily skeptical.
So they do the thing where it's they rely on people remembering the bit that they got right and forgetting all the bit that didn't come
Mm,
to pass. Do you know, like how you'd be like, there's a G coming through. There's a G. Is it Grand? Is it Gordon? Is it Granddad? John, do you have a granddad? You go, yeah, but it's G's granddad. Yeah, does that mean anything to you? And you go, oh yeah, yeah. You go, that's fucking uncanny. That's who when my granddad is dead. Do you know, like in the day, things like that, and you forget all the times that they've guessed names that were all wrong before it, and it always makes me think, right? See, our ghosts just fucking nippy bastards. That they just say it's Gary. Just say it's Gary, and I'm
it's
wanting
like
to want to speak to Davey in the front row. Right, it's Gary. He'll ken who I fucking am. Just say, Dave, it's Gary specifically for you, instead of being all fucking cryptic about it. Like, do they get it? If I turn into a ghost and I didn't believe in them, but if I do, I will be a really specific ghost. I will tell you, John, it's Matty. I'm haunting you a bit just for a laugh, and you'll ken it's me.
I imagine that you'll announce yourself in the afterlife with like a really cryptic, very clever punchline, something observational about what's going on in the room at that time,
Aye, but not cryptic.
but not
That's a
cryptic.
that's
No.
a key point. I'll not move any chairs or like bang doors or fuck all like that. I'll maybe put the telly and the Xbox on, make myself a cup of ghost tea. But I'll not be anything cryptic. Um, anyway, yeah. So then the old folk like Rocky, like chatting. How many times have we had chatting signing and not signing? Right. I mean, you're going to get it right. You keep saying it is and it isn't. At some point, you're going to be right when it's confirmed if it does or not. Same happened with Rocky. These are obvious ones as well. Like, and saying we were going to sign a forward was obvious. I said that the other week. Like, of course we're going to sign a forward. We only got two.
Yeah.
So, uh, anyway, Stevie said also bangers. We need more suggestions along the lines of choose Hibs. Think Matty is making a shirt. Yes, we will. We will have a choose long bangers shirt, hopefully available in our store later on tonight. After that
Choose
was suggested on Patreon.
choose missing the start because you're asleep on the floor.
I could add that into as well. It was important that we signed a forward. Though. I'm going back to the original point. So I was looking on the forums. It was a complete surprise. Folks seemed very happy, but a forward was a position that we needed to fill. Agreed.
Yeah, we spoke about it. I think we spoke about it a couple of times in the last 2, 3 weeks. I think it started off the guys at Down the Slope had done their depth chart, and we kind of looked at it and said, "Christ, that looks a bit light up front." And that was at the time. I don't think the sort of continuing question mark over Ela Yuan, like obviously went off against Essen with a wee knock or whatever. So adding to those numbers, because I think what we had previously was like proper like strikers, not just like players that would fill in, were Bowie, Boyle, Yuan, and I think that was it. But obviously that would be supported a little bit by Hoylett. So adding that additional number there is definitely a good thing.
Yeah.
It feels proper that like supporters are looking at it and going, we're a bit light. And it feels like there's a little bit of an acknowledgement there. Not that the club are necessarily listening to the supporters, but they're identifying the same sort of gaps that we are. Like it feels quite simple but straightforward and common sense.
Aye, and on that topic of common sense and straightforward, obviously we had an episode of extra time on that last week. Yeah, just last Monday we were talking about the shift in signing strategy. By the way, my old man gave us feedback on that one that it was too serious, John. So we need to lighten up for the next one. Fair comment. Like there wasn't many gags in it, to be fair.
Aye, Tom, I'm sorry. Like you know me, I'm the guy that came up with the submarines are just sharks with teeth. So I'd like to continue go down that path.
um. Uh, so looking at Hibs, the other thing that came up was the credit that Malcolm McKay should take for it. So on the topic of sensible signings, filling a gap that was obvious, uh, is this more evidence of the club finally having got its shit together in terms of its signing strategy?
I'm I'm trying to think of a way to be very lighthearted about this. Like it just like you could point to it and you could say, aye, like it's a young player, we've spent money, we've got him on a reasonably long-term deal. You think that we're planning for the now, we're planning for the future. But with this sort of stuff, there's always an element of risk. Like it's an unknown quantity. So we're signing a guy from Switzerland who appears to be decent. He's got a 1-5 record, but it wasn't too long ago that we had a Dutch player who, on paper, looked like a good signing
Mm-hmm.
and struggled to adapt for whatever reason and didn't hit the heights that we hoped that he would. Um, on paper, it looks like a good signing.
I think this is. I think that's a very fair point. We haven't seen the boy play in the flesh. We don't know how we'll adapt to Scottish football, and we have been there before, haven't we? We've been excited about a signing. In fact, we've been very excited about some signings that turned out to be fairly atrocious in the grand scheme of things. So um, you have that wee element of caution. I do think that the level that he's played at, though, suggests that he'll do all right when he comes. I think the confidence that we've had to go and spend that amount of money, we've given him a 3-year deal with an option for a fourth. From what we've seen for his highlight reel, he looks like a player who has attributes that would um, work in Scottish football, particularly with the way that we play, where we like to break quickly. I think he'll
Mhm.
be like a real weapon on the attack. So,
I think that's fair. I
uh,
think the difference that we're talking about now is the sort of climate that the player's coming into. Like, I know it was only one season. Sorry, it's been one good season on the back of several disjointed seasons. And I think the club, Malky Mackay, etc., have done well to kind of to create some stability.
mhm,
So I think in terms of the club having their shit together, I think that was the way it was framed originally.
yeah,
You would say that yes, they do seem to have their shit together. They're bringing perhaps the right player in at the right time into the right environment, and I don't think you could say that was the case previously.
I agree. Chris said rumoured that we will be bringing two or three from Bournemouth next week. A young left back is one of them, apparently. So that rumour started, I think, on Hibsnet through the week. Grew arms and legs quite quickly. I know, like the usual, is it Hibs Central? Is that what they're called? That sort of just lifts and shifts
Tell us who you are.
the rumours. Um, had posted it, and again, a lot of people sort of picked it up through there. I would think Hibs will pick up a loan from Bournemouth. Whether it's three, I don't know. Ronnie asked how many can we get on loan from Bournemouth. Surely there must be a limit. Um, I don't think we would take anywhere close to any limit that there is. I'm not sure if it's like four for any one club that you can take, or if I've just made that up. But I don't think we would get. I don't think we would take four. I think with the makeup of the squad as it is, like I think we have a decent enough first team, and what we're looking for now is players that can just go and like one or two players that can go and either improve or be as good as if they're backup kind of thing, which is what you would look at for a loan player. If you've not got a better player that you can sign, if you can bring in a loan player that's at least as good as what you've got, then
Yeah,
you would take that.
I don't know for definite. I'm trying to cast my mind back to that depth chart and just my gut feeling about the squad. I don't know that we have many more gaps to fill or much more. Like, I don't know that we need to bring in players to compete for places because I feel like we've got pretty good coverage. So, anyone else that we bring in, I wouldn't say that they're surplus to requirements, but you're kind of going, well, who are they competing with for game time? What are they adding to the squad?
Mm-hmm. Oh, this probably brings us on nicely to Jack C99 vlogs question, which was a question for Matty and John. Who else do you think will bring in, and do you think there will be any more exits?
In terms of names, I haven't got Jack. You'll probably know better than I do. I haven't got a clue. Sometimes forget the names of the players that play for us. I don't know that we'll bring anyone else in. I think there's a question mark remains a little bit over Yuan.
Mhm.
The other, I would say, exit that you could probably put money on might be Del Ferrier because he is the most surplus to requirements I think
Aye.
there is. Other than that, you might see a few other younger players possibly go out on loan. So Lewis Gilly might,
Yep.
Rory Whittaker you might find, but I don't think. I think I get the feeling that our first team, like the first team squad, is probably pretty set. Maybe one more, you might find another striker, but
Yeah. We saw Cleland and the goalkeeper whose name's just escaped me, the young goalkeeper that we've got coming. They're both going out on loan as well on the what was it, the Cooperation Club loan, so they can come back and play for us if we want them. I think that's
right.
a good compromise, that to be able to put players out on loan and still play them in your own team for the youths. Um, the goalkeeper's name will come back to me. It's completely gone. I apologise to the guy. He's like our youth keeper, and I've just had a brain fart there. Um, Stevie asked where's Colin tonight. He missed the start. So Colin, as is usual when somebody's off, is he had a severe case of dysentery this time, life-threatening dysentery for Colin. So he's had a couple of weeks off to get it out of his system, so to speak.
I send in your get well soon cards.
Aye, yeah. Best wishes from us, Colin. I hope you're. I think well, he caught off a tramp. That's what I heard. That was the rumor. Right, I think if it's true or not.
Freddie Owens is the
Thank you.
keeper.
That's it. Thank you. Um, the other comment here is about Yuan being a potential exit. So Stevie and Chris are talking on the chat about Yuan being a potential exit. So I think, but yeah, Yuan and Del Ferry and maybe one of the centre halves. So Noek Pateta has been rumoured to be going out of the club as well as a potential. Um, but I don't know. I think I was disappointed to see Mariah Welsh go, for example. Like I
Mm.
thought we looked like we had probably the good building blocks for a squad there, and I think if you're increasing the standard of players who can't get into the team, then that's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, and I included Ekpiteta as one of those players that offers competition. But I don't,
Mhm.
and in fact, that's maybe even not the best description. I don't think that anyone is a nailed-on starter. So Ekpiteta might just have to bide his time a little bit on the assumption that Rocky's the starter. He Rocky might find himself injured, suspended, tiring late in the game.
Mhm.
Like I think there's a valuable place for every player that isn't viewed as like the sort of typical starter.
Going back to the signing that we made earlier on, I put a wee question up on Twitter earlier because obviously we were recording tonight, just to say like, uh, the tweet's gone. Just that's mental. Well, I kind of find my own tweet. Basically, just to say like, what are the talking points for today? Because here we
Oh
go.
yeah,
Find it now. Right. So David Burns. I was looking for the action on. How do you say his first name? Thibault.
Thibault.
Uh, yeah. David Burns. It seems a decent signing. Good to see the board happy to spend money. Exciting times to be a high B. Neil Renton said, with it being Transmit this weekend, which Hibs player in your lifetime has been a headline act? Which one is a headline on the other stage and maybe don't get the credit they deserve? And which one is on the Bacardi Breeze or dance tent that looks the part, just maybe not on the park? There you go, John. This is a question that's right up your street. It's a headline act.
It's a great one. Oh, and this is players in my lifetime.
Yes.
I think we could dedicate an entire episode to this and put the proper thought into it that the question deserves
Do you know
rather
what?
than
We'll hold it for extra time. Come
as a shout, because
on the basis.
I think Neil will probably appreciate that is absolutely the sort of conversation, the type of question that I would love to get my teeth into. I couldn't do it justice in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, right. I'll bookmark that so I can find it later. Tony said, "Can't wait to see the lad in green and white." Jason said, "I don't see anything not to like about this signing. Hopefully, makes an impact versus Midtjylland and gets a run out in the Bournemouth and Bolton games." And John White says, "Be interesting to know why Luzern let him go. Have they finally had the decency to admit we're a bigger club?" I think it's one of these ones. Luzern can't really stand in the players' way, and much in the same way that we kind of let players go. On Blue Sky, Jeff said a ready-made forward, not a project like some have mentioned. Looks to score a lot inside the box and has pace, a good foil for Bowie. Would you expect him to play alongside Bowie more than Boyle, or do you think we'll just see a sort of variety of setups?
I think we might see a variety. So just off the top of my head, and taking into account what I said before about competition for places, etc., you might find that Bowie and Boyle start, and then later in the game you find uh, Klidje comes on, or vice versa. Klidje starts and then Boyle comes on later on. Like I think what we have and what David Gray's mentioned is the ability to change the way that the team plays just by changing one player.
Hmm.
And you also like I think I'm I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here by suggesting that Boyle has lacked competition. And what we saw last year was like an uptick in performances. He, as well as everyone else in the squad, requires a bit of competition.
100%.
But also there was someone had mentioned earlier, I forget what it was, where they talked about the three of them playing up front, say Boyle, Bowie, and Clige, and that just cast my mind back just a few short years to when Doidge, Boyle, and Nisbet all started. I don't think we're going to see it this year because, sorry, this season because of the way that Hibs play. But you might. I mean, I guess depending on the personnel, you might find Cliche playing where Cadden plays on
Mhm.
either side, for example, and then you still have. And I think that also goes back to what we said about just that versatility, just changing one player, you change the dynamic of the side, you make it more direct. Say,
Neil said if it is a record signing, you would expect him to be a starter. Whose position does he take? Looking at the deals, he seems to operate on the right. So is it him or Boyle? I think that's pretty much what we just covered there. I do think the point about him being a record signing probably informs as where he is in the pecking order, though. And this is an interesting thing about that area of the pitch because I think Bowie was like a headline signing, wasn't it, when he came in? He's definitely one that
hmm
we anticipate going on to do very well in the game and probably going for quite a lot of money. Boyle has been that player, and probably we understated what he did last season. He was top scorer, top assists. His contribution to the team was massive
hmm
last season, but probably we took him for granted a wee bit. So it's not necessarily the case that like he's guaranteed to start in place because he's coming as he's a record signing. But you would think that he would be given the nod more often than not because you won't have that return for the money that you've spent.
yeah,
And then Dynamo Monkeys said, "I hope the lad does well, but there is a whiff of Melkers and Venti and to an extent Yuan about this signing. Um, do you get that vibe from it, John?"
I hear choose long pauses. Um, if I'm being generous, I think I know where the person who made the comment is coming from, but they're also looking at it through an historic lens and looking at the difficulties that those players faced, and those players faced difficulties at least partially, I think, because of the environment that they came into. So Melkerson, for example, didn't come into a settled Hibs side. He came into a side who had sacked Jack Ross and had replaced him with Sean Maloney, and it didn't quite work out. And then was just kind of like thrust into the team because I can't remember the exact circumstance that Melkerson was thrust in, but it wasn't the ideal introduction for
Yeah.
him. There was a lot of chat that kind of preceded his involvement about, oh, he's never played on grass before, and it was kind of like it kind of left. I've used question marks a few times, but it left a wee bit of question mark in my head at least. You go, well, what kind of player are we getting? Because I'm old enough to remember when Hibs signed an Australian indoor internationalist who never played for Hibs, and you're thinking, Christ, is that where we're at? The difference, I think, with Klidje is just what I mentioned before about the players coming into a different environment. And it's much more settled. It appears that there's a much clearer uh, plan as to how these players are going to be involved and how they're going to contribute. And even just when you said there about like the money that was spent on them and like Bowie was a bit of a headline signing.
Hmm.
It's an interesting change in the last sort of what 12 to 18 months where we're talking about having made headline signings. There's quite a few of them that have come in, like even like, and there's a, if you think back to the how we viewed Nicky Cadden when he joined, like we suggested that there was perhaps a bit of nepotism there. It was just quite convenient that he came in, but actually he was a standout performer for
Hmm.
Hibs last year. And I wonder if Nicky Cadden was being signed now, if we would have been looking at him as perhaps a headline signing as well.
That's a really good point. Uh, I don't know. Like, I suppose we, if Nicky Cadden had the season that he just had with Hibs with somebody else, we would be excited about it. But I think when Nicky
Mhm.
Cadden came to us, I think he was a bit of a, what we're getting here. Signing it turned out we got a terrific player, and he was like a really important player for us last season. So I think if it happened this season, because we've he's just had a good season, we'd probably be delighted about it. And I don't think we would be talking about other than being convenient. That probably helped us to sign him.
Yeah. And I think just to touch back on the question, I think perhaps what we were looking at is that you're kind of looking at an unknown quantity, but at least from my ignorant point of view, every signing that you make is a wee bit of an unknown quantity.
Yeah. Michael Keith said the guy's an investment with a view to sell him in like 18 months for a good bit of profit. I believe we got him cheap, but there will be a fair sell on fee going to AFC Luzern. I don't think he's cheap, Michael. Maybe relative terms he is, but Hibs obviously have broken the transfer record for the guy. So um, I suppose it depends who you are and where you're coming from. Ronnie just says hit like, guys. Yeah, we're up over 100 in terms of viewers for the live stream. So yeah, please do hit like. That helps us with YouTube to show it to other folk, which is good. Good for us anyway. Right, John. Moving away from the signing a wee bit, it's a nice wee segue into this question from Stevie. So you were at the Rockvice Essen game through the week there. I missed the game because I was at Josh's graduation. So just a big congratulations to Josh and to everybody else who was sort of graduating this week. So I think it was it's the time of year for it. There's loads of graduation ceremonies going on about the place. So for me, well done, Josh. So I missed the game. Stevie said, "What are folks' views on Salinger? I know it's early doors, but he hasn't really shown anything to oust Smith from number one. Plus, I got a photo with Smith at the Rottweiss game, so I'm biased." And a nice wee footnote to this question was just Chris Black saying, "I got photos with Germans and absolutely pissed with them all. My missus was not impressed."
Yeah.
So, Salinger, John, you've seen him in the flesh. What were your thoughts?
I did he play the 90 minutes? He did.
Mhm.
I think see at the game, I was with friends and I was having a wee bit of laugh. I was enjoying the atmosphere. I was involved in conversations, and I swear the two times that Essen scored, I just turned to my left and missed them. I've had to watch them back. I think it's been suggested that for one of the goals, Rocky could have maybe pushed the player outside and didn't, and he's allowed to get the shot away. And I think someone suggested that he should have been gotten. Salinger should have got down quicker for the other one. So I think he's only really had two involvements, but I suppose you might
Saved the
say there are the
penalty
negative things.
at the end, of course.
And I wonder if because of the because he's conceded two, but he's only saved one penalty. I wonder if that's that negative thing that you were talking about earlier. People only remember like the bad because it sticks out more because he's conceded twice. But actually, he's saved a penalty. Um, again, like I think I said this maybe last week about Josh Campbell's involvement. Like I try not to read too much into these things at this sort of stage. Like I didn't see any glaring errors, and I think there's always going to be situations with goalkeepers where they're going to concede goals. So it's not always necessarily their fault. There are times where things happen in front of them, but also that was where I think with team spirit, etc., last season,
Hmm.
players made mistakes, but players weren't kind of like left by the wayside because of their mistakes. They were challenged on it and they looked to improve themselves. And with the performance that we had for Smith when he became involved last year, like there's no like he's like each of them have got competition at one another, so we're not in the worst situation
Yeah.
like with the two goalkeepers being there.
And staying on the Rovers Essen game, Jack C 99 said, "What was your thoughts on Wednesday's game and seeing the new signings in action for the first time?"
Mulligan, I again like so I did a couple pints. I was having a good time because it was actually my first time at Easter Road since Joe Newell went off injured against Kilmarnock around the turn of the year. So it was good for me to be back and just enjoy myself. Mulligan looked good. Um, I was quite impressed by McGrath's involvement in the goal, in the opening goal. It was good to see that cross from Miller and McGrath arriving late and then tucking away his own rebound. So try to think who else was there that played that was a new signing. Obviously Salinger we just discussed.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we actually looked like a pretty good outfit. Like maybe still rusty given the stage of the season. There's still things to work on. We're still getting into competitive football, but um, we looked good. I thought we looked pretty good.
McGrath scoring with his second touch as well. I think pretty much
Hmm.
it's pointed out by Stevie as well. McGrath scored with second touch. Jack, he's going to be huge for us. Mulligan, solid all round, and Salinger, uninspiring. Mulligan and McGrath have been the two that have stood out for me. And from what I've seen, so I watched a bit of the highlights of the game, and then I watched all the Ajax game. And although the Ajax game is a difficult one to sort of judge on, I thought Mulligan in particular looked a real quality player. I'm really excited to see what he does for us this season. But McGrath popping up with a goal earlier on in this game, so I think Lewis Miller tees him up. His first shot saved by the keeper, and he sweeps home the rebound. It's a good way to do it. Sweep. It's a swept finish, wasn't it? Just tucked it away nicely. What was your first impression in McGrath?
Just what you've said. Like I I suppose what you're looking for from that type of player and the way that he was sort of heralded, I think I'm using that word correctly, the way that he was heralded when he was signed by Hibs and what we, because Hibs had been interested in him previously and we were interested in him for the type of player that he is. And you got like his first involvement at Easter Road was exactly what you thought you were going to get. So I think that's going to put it's going to make people feel a bit more comfortable about that. Because I've said before that like some signings are unknown quantities. McGrath brings something and he's shown what we think that we're getting early doors. So that's going to make people quite comfortable. Should hopefully give him a smooth transition as we get into competitive football.
And the same question for Mulligan.
Do you know, I probably looked at Mulligan less because he wasn't involved in like the sort of attacking third of the pitch from memory. But he was like I didn't notice any glaring errors. I didn't hear anyone around me going, "Oh, for fuck's sake, Mulligan," or anything like that. Like he just had a solid contribution.
How did the strip look in the flesh? There's another important thing to remember. This is the first look at the strip at Easter Road.
I thought it was fine. I think my eye was probably drawn to the sponsor on the front because that seems to be something that's drawn most of the attention from people. And my interpretation of it is that it's quite understated. Like, I wonder if Hibs have managed to work out an agreement with the front of shirt sponsor, which I think traditionally is one of the most lucrative ones for the
Mm.
football club. But the way that the sponsor's still there, but it feels like it's kind of taken a back seat to the rest of the strip. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's almost like it's deliberately faded, isn't it? Like it's
Aye,
there, but you'd have to look for it
that
almost.
was how someone described it actually. Like it had been through the wash a few times, but like I say, I'm trying to take a slightly different view on it that it's trying to take a back seat to
Mhm.
Hibs 150th celebrations.
I think it's something that not that I try to get involved with the corporate stuff. I think it's something that you should like almost give Bevy credit for. Like you say, that it's in terms of like your real estate on the top, that it's in prime position. They've paid the most money to have that spot, and to do it and not be as bold as other elements of the strip is probably decent to them, so that it can look more retro, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's lessons learned, but if you think back to strips that we've had previously, so I'm going back to like was it White and Mackay, and even like Marathon Bet, I think to a
I
certain
remember the
extent,
first
where it
marathon
just
bet was fucking awful.
I think so. Like White and Mackay, when they did theirs, was it like did they have the blue background on a green strip, and it looked off, but they learned from that, and then it was you had your 2007 strip that was much cleaner.
Hmm.
So now, the sort of understated Bevy logo, I'm a big fan actually. Not of the logo, but the way that it sits in the background of the strip overall.
And did you get into the fan zone before the game? Chris asking if anybody did it.
I was in the OG fan zone. I was in the Albion.
Were you?
Yeah, but no, I heard that the fan zone was pretty good, and I saw some footage of some kids kicking footballs at an inflatable dartboard. So I'd love to see more of that. But I think that requires more success, more success on the pitch, more people going to the game, wanting to be around the stadium to enjoy the atmosphere and the build up to the game.
Aye, and a couple of points from Jack. One was on the Rock Vice Essen fans, and also on the Pat Stanton stand as well. So it was nice to see Pat come out and take the claim. There's a lovely video for Hibs of like a sort of day in the life of Pat Stanton, leading up to his, coming out and getting the stand named after him. I can't remember if we covered it last week. Did we? Did we speak about it? Is it actually kind of universally accepted it was a good thing to do?
I don't know if we spoke about it, but it feels fitting. I'm going to struggle to refer to it as the Pat Stanton stand or even the PSS. It's been the East for me for as long as I've been going to Easter Road. So maybe with the passage of time in about 20, 30 years, I'll start calling it the PSS.
Appears just in the Stanton stand. Where you sitting? I'm in the Stanton this week. Um, right, we've got Bolton on Saturday as well. So Dan McGregor's testimony. It's a 2 o'clock kickoff. The organisers are doing a donate a ticket as well. So if you can't get along, you can go onto the website and you can donate a ticket so somebody else can go. Will you be making it along on Saturday, John?
I hope to. I'd not forgotten that it was on. I wasn't aware that it was on at 2 o'clock, but that might allow me to nip along. Actually, the missus has got a baby shower to go to, so I reckon I might be on home duties. Sorry, Darren.
So
Best of luck.
I'll be there. You can donate your ticket, John. This is the beauty of it. Um, I'm quite looking forward to it as we sort of ramp up. Apparently, competitive football started this weekend for some of the smaller teams. They were in action. It was quite nice to not be involved in that and to sort of know that our team are away down to Bournemouth for a training camp. We'll play them on Tuesday, I think,
Hmm.
behind closed doors. I kind of we played Bournemouth a couple of seasons. I think under Lee Johnson maybe in that pre-season, and I think they put 5 past us from memory. It was a bit of a lesson, if I remember right.
If it Maybe it was that bad, I've stricken it from memory. Let me see if I can find the score online.
I think it was
I genuinely don't remember it.
one of these games we played in Spain. So it was like really hot. It was quite early in the pre-season. We were away in the camp, and somebody will okay. I think it was 5-1. Maybe I'm sure we got a goal and like a sympathy goal. Maybe not 5-0, but we were
Can't
chasing
remember.
shadows for a lot of it. So I
Was
hope we're
this
a bit closer to them this time round.
was that one of those games that was abroad?
It was. It was in Spain.
Is that one of the games where we had Yuan and maybe Tavares played? So like remember there was a wee bit of bother with their work permits. So they were able to play in some of our overseas games, but
Yeah,
not domestically.
I think you're right.
It sounds like it was around about that period, but I cannot remember the score. I can't even find it online.
I'll look it up later. Somebody will remember it. It was a Dalian anyway. But so we've got that, and then we start the countdown, I suppose, to the European game, which is exciting. But we'll concentrate more on that as we get nearer to it. But Darren McGregor against Bolton, the boy that delivered my shopping yesterday, was a Bolton fan, so we were having a bit of chat about their respective teams. John, we looking at the time. We've got time to look at March's fixtures for the last season. I think I've forgotten to talk about anything that we had on the agenda up until now. What I will show you though, is while I'm looking this up, is, and if you're a Patreon subscriber or follow us on anywhere on social media, you'll have seen us talking about this week. But I'll just give you an idea of what we've been on about. We launched or relaunched our Redbubble shop. So this is the kind of stuff that we've got. Can you see it on the screen, John?
Mm-hmm.
So we have this like a Star Wars style one. We have Breaking Bad down here. We've got.
Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm saying that I can see it on screen. I can just see your desktop.
Oh, can you? Right, hold on a wee second. I think I know what's going on here then, because we should have had it. What an exciting desktop it was. How about now?
Got it. See it.
Right. So we've got some of our new logo that we had done for us with the Star Wars one. If you're going to Murrayfield for Oasis, we've got a range of banger ones now. What you can do is, if you like the design but you're not wanting that product, if you scroll down, you'll see it available on loads of different things. You can get your t-shirts and so on. We've got, I like these ones, which is the definition of long bangers.
Because people still seem to think it's about dicks.
There you go.
And I suppose in a way it is.
Aye, sort of. But anyway, Redbubble. If you just go to Redbubble and search for long bangers, you'll find our stuff there. And thank you to everybody who's bought something already. There's quite a few sales have already sort of flown off the shelves, so to speak. So it's good to see those getting repped out and about. Right, John, what do you remember of last March? I'm sure we kick off with the Jack Iredale derby, actually.
Aye. This game, I remember a really strong start. I remember Boyle's. I don't know if we deliberately attacked their right back, but I think, was he sent home? Like he was on loan. He was kind of introduced as a bit of a standout signing for them, and then Martin Boyle absolutely schooled him. And it was, do you know, it was actually a really good finish for Martin Boyle. I really liked the way that because he was running from right to left, and he's got in behind their full back, the right back, and then he's kind of opened his body up, and he's buried it past Craig Gordon. Like an absolutely stunning finish.
Gerald Taylor.
Gerald Taylor,
who they heralded as the the obviously the second coming of fucking Cafu or whatever when they signed them, because it's fucking what they do with every single one of the bastard players. But it was a funny first goal because it looked like he was knocking the ball down the line to Cadden, and you sort of see Cadden at one point just sort of pointing to Boyle going, "You get it," and Boyle's like, "Fucking right, I will." And then his finish is brilliant. Hearts come back into the game. They get the goal through, who was it, George Grant or something like that?
aye, something like that. Trying to remember the goal. I think there was maybe a wee bit of mistake, miscommunication, and it's landed at the edge of the box, and the boys just sort of like buried it straight down the middle.
The Amish looking guy.
I'm going to say yes. I can't remember him.
And then it was funny. I actually like a no bad spell after that, and then Hibs just took control again, and we get the goal through Iredale. What do you remember Iredale's goal, John? It was spoken about a fair amount in towards the end of last season and over the summer.
So how my second daughter was just born like a couple of months prior, so like as well as uni work, I was a bit busy on the parenting side. So I was watching this in the house, and one of my mates came round, and we're sitting watching the game, and we're just like blethering, watching the game, and then Iredale kind of like strides forward, and it was genuinely one of those, when it left his boot moment, it felt like everything went quiet in the living room, and it's dipping beyond Gordon's outstretched arm. And I remember, like, I'm sure I said to you in one of the previous episodes, actually, I've got my daughter in my left arm, she's sleeping, and I'm grabbing my mate's shoulder with my right hand, and I'm shaking. I'm like, "Fucking yes!" Because it it's a cliche, but it was a goal worthy of winning any game, but it elevated it into a different category altogether because it was that game. It was at Easter Road. We were in the midst of what was a really good run at that point, and then just to top it off, you had that really iconic mouse mat worthy celebration afterwards where he's standing on the boards in front of the famous five. It was phenomenal.
You can get our designs on mouse mats as well. By the way, it's the as you mention it.
Nice plug.
What I would we were so my seat up at the back of the West Stand is we're almost kind of like right at the back of that shot. So as it left, Iredale's boot is like fucking new. It was on target, and you're just waiting to see what whether or not Gordon got near it. But it was one of these ones. As soon as it hit it, you're like, "That's fucking in." You know, you're out on your feet and you're ready to just go mental.
The other thing that was, what am I going to say? The other thing that was really noteworthy about that goal, but it's kind of like obviously like the goal and the celebration and continue to run, etc., overshadowed it, was Shankland's non-involvement. Because if you
Yes,
remember the start of the game, he's picked up a silly booking for something. I forget what it was, but
just
obviously he's never been
booted the ball
able.
up in there. Just
Was
leathered the
it was
ball
it
away
that?
for a like descent. It was for a free kick that we got.
Aye, so Iredale's been quicker off the mark than Shankland, but also Shankland couldn't foul him because that would have left him. And because he's had to leave him, Iredale's been able to get the shot. Well, sorry, partly because Shankland's had to leave him because Iredale was always getting the shot away, but he's not even been able to do anything there like that might constitute a foul because he would have got a second or put him at risk of getting a second booking.
This was definitely like one of the, we spoke about it with the Celtic game in last week's episode about the sunshine on Leith at the end, but this was yet more evidence of the momentum shifting in favour, like this connection with the fans and the team, and actually the team amongst themselves all bonding really well. These were like the sort of the critical moments in us finishing third, where I think games like this, and I thought we always looked like we were going to win. Normally, you get a derby where you go into the last few minutes and you're like, fucking, you're waiting for something to happen. Really, like we've seen it so many times over the years, but I think I felt like that at all. In this game, it just felt like we were dead comfortable in it. I think the stats are quite equal between the two teams, and I didn't really remember the game feeling like it was an equal one, other than Hearts having a bit of spell around the time where they scored. I thought the
Mhm.
rest of the time Hibs were by far the most comfortable team in the game. Hearts didn't really feel like they troubled us at all,
Yeah.
which was good. I mean, they were a bottom six team. We finished third, so you would expect it to be, quite comfortable. But the next one was a trip to Kilmarnock. This was a mere frustrating game, of course, because it finished one each with the very, very late concession of an equaliser when it looked like we were going to see out the game as well. So Boyle scores in 25 minutes. This was the break, wasn't it? Like Kelly had the corner, I think, and I'm sure it's Levitt breaks forward and plays in Boyle when he just sort of tucks it away. But it's like a run for one box to the other for Dylan Levitt, which isn't really what you expect from him.
No. Do you know, I'll make a point of going back and watching that goal after we finish recording because I cannot remember it off the top of my head. I'm looking at the match report now about the equaliser that Kelly scored, and it was. Do you know, it might have even been a game that I never saw. However, what I would say is Rugby Park is a hard place to go.
Hard place to go with Big Dell and all the rest of it. And where did they finish? Big Dell, they must have been knocking on third last season as well, would they know?
Knocking
Oh
on
no, bottom
third
six as
bottom.
well, weren't they? Weren't they? Mental, mental. They're going to win the league this season. Big Dell, fucking wild. Uh, the late goal. I'm trying to remember the one we conceded. I think we'd maybe had like got away with one just before, and you're like we just need to see it out because it was the 90 had been and gone, and we were into injury time. I can't quite remember I think the ball broke to Fraser Murray, and he was like pretty much unmarked, and
Hmm.
like it's a decent finish from, but fucking frustrating. We should have won that game.
I don't. I don't know. I'm trying to think if it made much of a difference towards the end of the season. Like we would have, if everything else had remained the same, we would have had 2 points more. And I can hear Colin from abroad saying, oh, sorry, from his sick bed saying,
It's
"Aye, but
chronic
these are
dysentery.
teams that we should be beating," and that could have other impacts. Football's unfortunately just like that sometimes. Sport, unfortunately, is like that sometimes. With the best intentions, sometimes the opposition just score and ruin it for you.
Aye. I think this was another one of the ones where you have that immediate disappointment. Oh fuck, we've no won, and we should have won. We should have seen it out, but it wasn't a same old Hibs. Even though it was a late equaliser, and this was the sort of thing like Hibs in it and all the rest of it
Mhm.
that had been thrown us at the start of the season. That one felt like a blip. It felt like it wasn't normal for the team to do that. Like we had gone past it, and this was just like a one off, and everybody was kind of quite quick to move on from it, which was good. Like it never hung about.
I think that's important. Is not dwelling on it, and it's probably reflective of the sort of run that we were on. Like the, I think having that unbeaten run in your pocket gave a bit of credit.
Hmm.
If it had been, I don't know, like 16 games without a victory, for example, and you're 90, you're going into the 90th minute plus two, it's a completely different perspective that everyone has on it.
100%, yeah. And then we rounded off March with a home win against St Johnstone 3-0. Hoylett scored in 18 minutes. It's like I think he curled it in for the edge of
I'm
the box.
just reminding myself about it now. He's on the outside of the box, and he does that thing that I quite like about footballers. Like he didn't like it's. I think it's quite a clever goal,
Hmm.
but he's taken a wee touch and one touch to get it out for his feet. Sorry, get past the defender and then tucked in the far corner. And
Boyle gets
he did similar against
uh
Essen actually. That was his second goal, edge of the box, just lifted it over the keeper.
what a wonderful finish that was on the against Essen, wasn't it? Just like a no backlift, just to be. It was
Yeah,
like a golf shot almost. He just kind of stroked it into the top corner. So Hoylett, Boyle's. I think he gets played in. I think we win the ball by pressing. I can't remember if it's Levitt or Triantis presses a defender. It breaks to Boyle. He just runs through and sort of shoots across the goalkeeper. If I
oh,
remember
you
right.
might be right. I'll see if I can skip forward in the video. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We've actually just retrieved the ball. Boyle with a wee step over. Aye,
Aye,
it's not a, I don't know. He's not slammed it in the far corner. He's just sort of like
keeper
tucked
should have
it
done better with
beyond
it.
the
I
keeper.
think. Keeper sort of dived without stretching his arms. If I remember, it's like sort of
Aye,
gone down a bit like a T-Rex.
he's scuffed it a wee bit, but he's hit it well enough that it's gone beyond the keeper. And aye, maybe the keeper's. I don't know what to say. The keeper's been generous. He has almost like pulled his arm in at the last second. You see that's interesting though, because you see that for goalkeepers on occasion, and there must be a reason. Maybe it's just maybe it's the goalkeeper saying, "I've got no fucking chance here. Like, there's no point in even stretching my arm out."
Uh, and then Bowie scores a penalty to make it three. I think 5 minutes past the 90. I can't even remember why we got the penalty, but
That's helpful, actually. I've just managed to skip forward in the video. I'll see if I can find out why we get the penalty. Looks like Boyle's taken down in the box,
was it Boyle that was taken down?
or was it? No, it wasn't. I'm not sure who it is. Oh no, it was
Cadden,
Bowie.
was
Oh, is
it?
it Cannon?
I'm guessing. I'm,
No, it was. I think it was
no.
Bowie. Number 20. He sort of pulls it back onto his right foot, and his foot's sort of dragged away from underneath him, so he wins it and he converts it.
Aye, a good penalty as well. Tucked it away. 3-0 win. Really comfortable fucking 3-0 win as well. St Johnstone were awful that game. They looked like a team that was about to go down. They were fucking hopeless. St Johnstone did in that game what we were doing under Montgomery, in that they were trying to play out when it wasn't on, and teams were just like letting them make mistakes. Like Leeds let them make mistakes and then scored.
Try to play with an identity.
Chris said St Johnstone were grim that day. He kept trying to play out for the back, and we just took the ball off them all the time. They were very naive, almost word for word. Chris is they're absolutely dreadful.
Choose plagiarism.
Anyway, right, that's us out of time for tonight. We will be back with extra time tomorrow. So if you're a subscriber, you'll get extra time, and you'll get that on Patreon or by signing up as a YouTube member. We will talk about Neil Renton's headliner idea, and we'll probably find something else to put in for the half hour. But if we'll put the question up on Patreon as well, so you can get involved with the chat and you can let us know who your choices would be for it, and we'll read them out as we go. In the meantime, thanks very much for tuning in. As always, please do check out our Redbubble shop as well. Be nice to see some of the t-shirts or hats or whatever kicking about as we're making our way down Easter Road later on in the season. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.